Hey, good morning and welcome to another edition of 15 Minutes of Flame. I'm Robert Phoenix. What's going on out there with everybody? Sorry, running a bit late. I was trying to upload a file and it took me longer than I thought it would, and I was actually even unsuccessful with said file. And the file that I'm talking about is the interview with Ellen DeGeneres and Jesus Campos that occurred, at least it was aired yesterday. We don't know when it was actually recorded. It could have been recorded over the weekend. There's a lot of discrepancies around when it was actually recorded. Does it really matter when it was recorded? I don't think so. What matters is the content itself, which is beguiling and mystifying to say the least. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. What a non-interview that was. We're going to listen to it in its entirety, and after I play this, I'll do my best to break it down for you and get into some other interesting kind of factoids around Miss Ellen DeGeneres. Okay, so pardon me, I'm going to have the mic open here, and I'm going to play the interview in its entirety. It's 8 minutes long. Most of you have heard it, but we're going to hear it again just so we can set the stage for what we're going to talk about with pretty much the remainder of the show. Okay, here we go.
Being here, and first of all, how are you both doing?
I'm doing better each day. Slowly but surely, just healing physically and mentally.
Yeah, I imagine that you relive that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how are you doing, Stephen?
It's definitely hard. As each day passes, though, we're working to get over this.
Okay. So, Jesus, you're the security officer, and you were called to check on a door that was, I guess when a door is left open for a certain amount of time, you're supposed to go check on it, right?
Yes, we get notifications, making sure that to secure them, or if they've already been secured, just making that check on the doors.
Okay, so you were going up the fire escape to get there?
Via the stairwell. I was coming from the 31st up to the 32nd.
Right.
When I approached the door, it didn't open, and it was blocked off, so I had to reroute.
Is that a normal thing, that the door at the fire escape, or the stairwell would be blocked off?
No, they're always supposed to remain open.
Right.
And so after I would drop down and then came back through the hallway, and then I approached the room, got into the door. There was a metal bracket holding the door in place.
Right. So what we're talking about here, just so everybody's clear. Okay, so this is where the hotel room where the shooter was. This is the stairway, and this door here was blocked, and you didn't know that till you came up through the elevator and went through this door and saw that there was something blocking that door. And when you saw that, did you think, that's weird, why would somebody put brackets on a door?
Yeah, that's just out of the ordinary.
That was the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you walk out of this, and this just slammed?
Well, when I was in between that area, I was calling security dispatch to get transferred to engineering. They didn't know anything about it, so they dispatched an engineer to go verify what that was.
That's when you got called?
Yes.
Okay.
And at that time, I heard what I assumed it was drilling sounds. and I believe that they were in the area working somehow.
So you thought the drilling, they were gunshots, but you thought it was just drilling sounds.
At first, I think it was just drilling sounds.
Right. So then, at what point did you get shot? What happens here?
As that door's closing and it's so heavy, it'll slam. I'm walking down this way, and I believe that's what caught the shooter's attention. As I was walking down, I heard rapid fire, and at first I took cover. I felt the burning sensation. I went to go lift my pant leg up, and I saw the blood. That's when I called it in on my radio that shots have been fired. And I was going to say that I was hit, but I got all over my cell phone just to clear that radio traffic, or they can coordinate the rest of the call.
So he shot. You didn't even know he shot through this door, right?
Yeah, from behind the door. I didn't know how he was shooting.
Yeah,
but he shot out.
Right. So you didn't even know it was coming from here. So it's Stephen at this point. So you're called up. You just think that you're coming to look at a door that's been blocked in the firewall, right?
Yeah. I didn't think anything out of the ordinary at the time. I came from a higher floor and came down a different hallway, service elevator, and I walked out and I rounded the corner for the 100 hallway, and that's when it was quiet at this time, and the doors are set back, as you can see in that, about a foot, and Jesus was towards the end of the hallway, but I didn't know at that time. I thought I saw someone pop out of the cubby, and I kept walking, and once I got more than halfway is when I saw Jesus, and I started to hear shooting. And I thought, at the time I didn't know it was shooting, I thought it was a jackhammer. And, as an engineer, I'm like, we're not working up here this late at night. We wouldn't be doing that. Right. And it was, I believe, outside. It wasn't in the hallway yet. And that's when Jesus, he leaned out and said, take cover, and yelled at me, and within milliseconds, if he didn't say that, I would have got hit.
Because he was still shooting, so you would have been hit had he not told you.
Yeah, it wasn't even fully in cover, and they were passing behind my head, and I could feel the pressure.
You could feel the pressure going past you, just even being out of the way.
Yes.
And were guests coming out of the doorways?
There was a female that came out, and I told her to go back inside. It wasn't safe. Mm-hmm. Shortly after, that's when Stephen was approaching, and I told him to stay back and get cover, and that's when more rounds were dispersed. Right.
Wow. So, and I mean, he saved your life, and he saved also the woman that came out of the door to go into the hallway. I know, first of all, thank you so much for being here, and I know that you've had so many people asking for you to tell the story and to talk about this, and I understand your reluctance because you just want this to be over. So you're talking about it now, and then you're not going to talk about it again, and I don't blame you, because why relive this over and over again? But it's helpful for people to understand what a hero you are, because you, being shot in the leg, saved so many people's lives, and instead of you just getting out of there, you saved Stephen's life, you saved that woman's life, and who knows how many other people, and so we just wanted to celebrate you. That's why you're here today, because we want to thank you for what you've done. Even after this happened, instead of going to the hospital, you stayed to help the police and give them all the information they needed to piece these things together. And also, what else did you want to mention?
I just want to mention all the people that assisted that night, whether it was Metro, the FBI, the community especially coming together to help everyone in need, the first responders, even the people that got called in to assist in the hospitals, and just everything puts pieces together on how everyone came together to help that night, even in the darkest hour.
Yes, there were a lot of people that showed up to help. All right, and Stephen?
Definitely, I want to thank the first responders and people on the ground at the show helping each other out. I mean, I think the acts of humanity were major that night, and I want to thank Jesus again, from my family and all my friends and everybody for saving my life.
Yep. Yeah, that's really, you did. I don't know if you're taking all that in, and I know, like you said, it's hard. You think about that a lot, and you did. You saved people's lives. And we, of course, wanted to give you money. We wanted to, and you both were very, very specific. You said you don't want money. You don't want money at all. So you're not getting any money. All right. So we're not going to give you money. But Stephen, your favorite team is the Colts, and you've never been to a game. So the NFL is flying you to meet the team and get VIP tickets. So you're going to go see the Colts. And then also, it's over here. Okay, also, Jesus, you're a fan of the Oakland Raiders, and Shutterfly is going to give you season tickets when the team goes to Las Vegas. You're going to be able to see them. Also, we know it's really important for you to that everyone is recognized. So Shutterfly cares about supporting communities, so it's going to make a donation of $25,000 in your name to the GoFundMe page that's dedicated to helping victims of the shooting.
Thank you.
For more information on how you can help the victims of Las Vegas shooting, go to our website.
And that's it. He will never do another interview again, according to Ellen. How about that? How about that for a kind of a declarative moment in time? Now, when you look at the interview, not just listen to the interview, clearly, Jesus Campos is very uncomfortable. Now, he may be uncomfortable from a physical standpoint, meaning that he might be in pain from actually being shot. And by the way, this is Jesus Campos. I don't believe it's a double. I don't believe it's a stand-in. He's very uncomfortable the entire time. And Stephen Schuck, who some people say, well, where did this guy come from? He's kind of been a part of the story, although his version of the story is a bit different than it's been shown to be. Because Stephen Schuck, apparently, he's an engineer there. Now, and I did a search for him on Intellus. And I looked for a Stephen Schuck in Las Vegas. And Intellus is a pretty good database for figuring out who people are, where they live. I was able to find Stephen Paddock on Intellus in all of his residences. I paid, $6.95 for a report on him. But I checked Stephen Schuck in Las Vegas, and I didn't find one. The closest Stephen Schuck I found was in Reno, Nevada, and he was 74 years old. So there's no background on Stephen Schuck, which is kind of interesting in some ways. I'd like to know more about him. I'd like to know a little more about his employment history at the Mandalay, when he started, where he came from. Apparently he's from Indianapolis because he's a Colts fan. Now, he said that the original story was Schuck warned people about Jesus Campos before he actually started firing. Then it comes out that he warned about Paddock before Paddock started firing, not Jesus Campos. He warned about Paddock before Paddock started firing. Then it came out that he actually warned people after Campos had gone to the 32nd floor. And by the way, shooting, if he's coming down the hallway and he's shooting through the door, like, how does that happen? How does that actually happen where somebody is actually able to shoot through the door? And is this a magic bullet? Is this another magic bullet thing? This is what we're talking about. And how did they know that Campos was even coming down the hallway? If that's the case, then there must be video cameras and a whole other host of surveillance equipment that we're not being told about. And why aren't we seeing the surveillance tapes? There are cameras on every floor. Please, are you kidding me? Every single floor. Do you think the Mandalay Bay is not wired up? You've got to be kidding me. We haven't seen any camera footage whatsoever. It is there. Trust me, they've got it. Or if they've got it, they've deleted it. Okay, so Schuck is part of this thing. Now, I watched his body language. I've listened to his tone. People are saying, well, he's his handler. It's an FBI guy. I'm not so sure about that. Although, I'd like to know what his employment history was when he started at the Mandalay. Was he inserted for an event like this? I don't know. It's a question mark. So Ellen brings out her map of the 32nd floor. Where did she get that, by the way? Did her producers just kind of whip that up? Right? Did they say, okay, well, let's just kind of figure out what it looks like. Let's figure it out. But she's got a map, and she's got her little magic wand, and she's walking Jesus Campos through. Now, there's no discussion of a timeline. There's no discussion that he couldn't even identify Stephen Paddock. Apparently, he didn't even see him. He just knew that there was a guy behind the door where the bullet came out and magically did a curve through the door and found Jesus Campos in the leg. More than likely, what he encountered was a shooter in the hallway who started firing at him and took the service elevator down and left him in a heap on the 32nd floor. That's my opinion about Jesus Campos and what happened to him. He clearly looked visibly uncomfortable during the whole interview process. It was very difficult to watch. Schuck, the jury is out on Schuck. Like I said, I'd like to know more about his employment history at the Mandalay. Would you like to know an interesting factoid about Ellen? Ellen has slot machines. Slot machines. I put a link to it on Facebook. She's got slot machines all over Las Vegas. In fact, not just all over Las Vegas. She's got slot machines all across the country in states that have gambling, like, for instance, Pennsylvania and New Mexico. There are Ellen slot machines with her likeness and using... I don't watch her show, but apparently there's like things with cats and all this other garbage, and they're built into the slot machine. Okay, so how does this work? If she's got all these slot machines, she has slot machines in the Mandalay Bay, by the way. They're there. So does she get a fee for them using her likeness? Does she just get a likeness fee? Like, do they pay her like $2 million a year just to put her game show, or not her game show, her talk show and her likeness on a slot machine? Or does she have a piece of the action? Does she get a piece of those slot machines? Is that how she's paid out? We don't know. We don't know anything about the deal, but we know that she's involved in gambling. She's involved in gambling. Her likeness and her intellectual property, which is lifted from the show, are built into these machines. So Ellen has an investment. She has an investment in being able to help MGM and all the other gambling facilities all around the country have a sense of closure. Okay, this is important. This is very important. Now, there may be a bigger agenda here as well. Okay? But that's the most fundamental piece that you need to know, is that her face, her mug is plastered on slot machines all over the country, and certainly all over Las Vegas. They're in the Wynn, they're in the MGM, they're in the Mandalay. Okay, they're all over the place. So maybe she's got a financial stake and investment in MGM. Maybe she's a shareholder in MGM. And if that's the case, wouldn't she want to be able to protect her stake by doing some damage control? So it becomes pretty clear why Jesus Campos wound up on Ellen versus any other show. Now, keep in mind that this is usually how these things happen. If a news event occurs and somebody's involved in the news event, the first place they go is where? They go to the networks. They go to CNN or MSNBC, or they go to Fox or CBS, or they do the quote unquote news pieces first. News piece first. Talk shows are downstream. It's a downstream event. It's part of the kind of the tail of the news cycle. And once you go to the talk shows and make the rounds of the talk shows, you're pretty much cycled out at that point. This is what happens. So it's news, talk show, and the talk show is downstream. So he skipped the entire news cycle and just went downstream. And now he's being phased out because, of course, he doesn't ever want to talk about this again. It's too traumatizing. It's too traumatizing. With this kid, this poor Jesus Campos kid, And I don't believe he's complicit. There's nothing. I mean, you just watch him. This guy is not comfortable in his skin at all. And we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They sit him down in a room and they say, look, here's what's going to happen. Okay, we know you've been put in peril. We know this, we know that. We're grateful for your service. And Jesus, we're going to have a grown-up moment here, okay? Lots of people's lives and livelihoods, people that you work with, depend on the fact that you need to go along with our story. You need to go along with it, because if something comes out that is different than what the general theme and consensus is, then we're going to lose our shirts. People are going to stop coming to Las Vegas. Your friends are going to be out of jobs. The city is going to go to hell. Nobody's going to want to come here. So you have a huge responsibility, and your responsibility is for the whole. This is for the greater whole. And oh, by the way, Jesus, you have a lovely, lovely grandmother living at 4967 Las Aburritas Way. She's such a lovely woman. And at some point in time, she'll make her great grandmother too. We hope. Oh yes, and by the way, if you ever do decide to have children, maybe he does, I don't know. We've got a nice scholarship fund waiting for them for your service, right? So they just kind of front load, back load, and the next thing you know, this guy's got a ton of stuff on his mind. He's got to think about his friends. He's got to think about family. He's got to think about the greater whole of Las Vegas. He's got to think about the safety of his grandmother. I mean, if his grandmother's alive. This is all theoretical, that part is. But trust me, that will come into a conversation. Because these people are gangsters, okay? Las Vegas was built by gangsters, and they're there to take your money, okay? So they have a mob mentality. And do you think the mob mentality has anything to do with compassion and truth? Hell no. Not at all. So they'll hit Jesus Campos with everything they've got just to keep him quiet. And now that he's been on Ellen, I've been on Ellen's Facebook page. I've got over 102 likes for a comment that I made about the map. Over 102 likes. That shocked me. That totally shocked me. I basically said, nice map, Ellen. Did your production team whip that up, or did MGM send it over with talking points? Because clearly she was just leading Jesus Campos the entire way throughout that interview. And he's done. He's done. You're a hero, Jesus. You're a hero. Just come on. Accept the hero status. And then go away and never come the fuck back. Because we want to move on. It's so traumatic. So traumatic. The other thing about Ellen, which is interesting, is that if you look at her from a kind of a social psychic counterpoint to Stephen Paddock, or not just Stephen Paddock, but people like Sean Hannity, Brian Williams, any of the kind of the male anchor dudes in news, they didn't get Jesus Campos. It was Ellen. It was a woman. Look how powerful Ellen is. She was the one. She was the one that Jesus Campos came to, trusted, wanted to get his message out to. And all those other guys who would ask very uncomfortable questions about what time you went up there and how long did it take. All those really prying, newsy kinds of questions that would open up a big can of trauma. They didn't get the chance to do it. It was Ellen. It was Ellen. And did you see the way that Ellen looked on her show? She looks like kind of vaguely military. If you watch the video, she's got, sort of on the left-hand side, she's dressed in black. And she's got these like epaulets. They look like what a colonel would wear on the left shoulder. It's like she's the new military. She's a new mother general. And the whole thing is just kind of disturbing. And did this dispel anything? Did we feel better now that he was on Ellen? I don't think so at all. If anything, it opens more questions. It's like, okay, why is this the last time he's talking? Yeah, right. And what about the timeline? That was never asked. And then, of course, there's the connection with Ellen and all these freaking slot machines, which opens up more question marks over our heads. Look, we are getting well-oiled and well-trained to disassemble this stuff. I'm not the only one. You know, I am one of the 1,000 points of light that's out there doing this. Did not help their case or cause. Trust me, it only made it worse because, you know, what have I been talking about, right? Like the last week. I talked about the revelation of the method, right? The revelation of the method, where they give you something and you think you're getting something, but you're not really getting anything at all. So we're getting Jesus Campos. Okay, you want Jesus Campos? Here you go. Here's Jesus Campos. Are you satisfied? Well, quite frankly, no, we're not satisfied. We're not satisfied at all. This is a major event. This is the most major event since 9/11 in this country. And everything else pales in comparison. Everything. And I don't care whether you think it was fixed, fake, false flagged. I don't care. It's a major event. And the ramifications are so significant. And this guy's going to give one interview, and that's it. He's shut down now. I don't know. I don't give this guy a whole lot of chance to stick around. I'll bet you Jesus Campos has disappeared within 6 to 8 months. They cannot risk this dude walking around with his cane at some point getting a conscience and saying, and you know, all the Raider tickets in the world. How about that? The NFL. Look how good the NFL is. We're going to give them tickets. We're going to give them tickets to the Indianapolis Colts. We're going to give them tickets to the Raiders. And they're not even in Las Vegas yet. They won't be there for probably about another 3 years. Jesus Campos is thinking, God, I'll be lucky to be alive to go watch those games. I got 3 years, man. Can't you give me something a little sooner? Can't I get tickets to the Oakland Raiders? And can't you fly me there every weekend and put me up in one of your hotels in the Bay Area? Wouldn't that be nice? No, he's got to wait 3 years for the Raiders to come to Las Vegas. He might even not be around to watch the Raiders. I don't know. I mean, what are the odds? Hey, that would be an interesting kind of Vegas bet. The over-under of Jesus Campos. Is it 2 years? 2 years that he actually is able to continue to live and have a life? Vegas, you can bet on anything. What's the Jesus Campos line? I think it's 2 years. Maybe less. How about 9 months? Would you take the over on that? I'm sorry, it's dark. It's dark, but we have to illuminate the darkness with more darkness. No, with a little bit of humor every now and then to lighten things up. Oh, God. Instead of just going away, we're talking about it more. Good job, people, with your absolutely just stupid and failed spin control. Ellen, making it cool. Making it cool to be a lesbian every single day. God. Oh, man. Our world. The world we're living in. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? Somebody sent me something. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What do we have here? Oh, how much time do we have left in the show? Let me just look at this. Because I've got a big schedule today. Meet with Regina Meredith. My girl will be talking today a little bit later, so I got to get prepared for that. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, God, do I want to save this for today? I'm going to save it or save it for tomorrow. I'm going to save it for tomorrow. Because I just want this whole Ellen thing and this Jesus Campos. I don't want to diminish the capacity. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I just want to diminish the capacity of the actual content itself. So let's just end it right there. Tomorrow, I'll come back and what are we doing tomorrow? This is going to be the Friday Farcast. So let's do the Friday Farcast tomorrow, and I'm going to go down a certain certain avenue tomorrow. And it may not be a popular one, but it'll be another theme-based show. And it's going to be, we're going to be going down, okay, I'm going to tell you where we're going. We're going to be going down the transgender, transhuman rabbit hole. And it's coming tomorrow. This is where it's going. So I'm going to address that tomorrow. We're going to spend 90 minutes on the transhuman, transgender complex, and we'll go as deep as we can, as far as we can, in about 90 minutes. So I don't want to dilute today's program, but I'll give you a little bit of a tease. All right. Ellen, Jesus Campos, more questions than ever before. Don't stop digging. Keep the Vegas thing alive. Guess what? Ellen has a Facebook page. She's got a Twitter account. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. I'm sure she'd love to hear from people who are not devoted members of her audience. Now, it'll help her numbers. She'll get more hits on Twitter. She'll get more hits on Facebook. And at the end of the day, that's all they really care about, right? Is numbers, metrics, data points. Well, bring a different shade of data points to Miss Ellen DeGeneres today. It'll be interesting to see how her people respond to it. All right, that's it. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to step on what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 12 noon Central Standard Time with the Friday Fire.